Hello YouTube, this is Sam Gerrans from quarternight.com. Today is Thursday, 17th of May 2018. And today I want to look briefly at the question of the use of a particular part of a verse, which is used a lot by traditionalist Muslims, and I'm sure they mean well, but I think it's possible that many haven't really considered. And it's when they say, what the messenger gives you, take it. And this is used as a knee-jerk response to anyone who suggests that we should come to the Quran and use our own minds to understand it directly. What this expression denotes, what it actually means to the person using it, is that we should accept a huge literature written after the time of the Prophet, actually 200 to 300 years after the time of the Prophet, that he didn't see. And that we should accept this and be limited by that in our engagement with the Quran. And anyone who has dealt with, or anyone who is a traditionalist Sunni Muslim, knows that this is the case. You hear this a lot. It's almost a knee-jerk reaction. Now, it's not my place, it's not my intention to offend anybody exactly, but it's just to draw your attention to the context of this snippet. If you are going to be on the receiving end of it, it's worth knowing what the context is. But also, I think almost more importantly, if you're somebody who's used this, often people have just heard other people use it and they think that this is an argument and they use it themselves. They don't realize perhaps that what the context is. So if you are interested, I'll just lay this out for you, and then you can consider whether this is something that you're going to accept as an argument, or whether something that you're going to use as an argument. It's up to each of us to make our own decisions. I know where I stand on it, but I think that God calls each of us individually to make a choice on where we stand on it. So this expression, what the messenger gives you, take it. You see, we all know this expression. If you come from a traditionalist Sunni Islamic background, you know this expression. And if you've either, as I say, you either use it as an argument, or you hear it as an argument. Now, we should be careful, because just taking snippets out of context is something which the Quran, it requires us to engage with it a little bit. It's more nuanced than that. I'll give you an example from the Bible. You can say that the Bible says, and it does say, that there is no God. The Bible says there is no God. You can use it as an argument. At Psalms 14:1, you read, there is no God. Okay? Now, we all know that that isn't what the Bible is arguing, or that the Old Testament is arguing, or the book of Psalms is arguing, or Psalms 14:1 is arguing. We all know that. But you can claim it. You can claim it as an argument. Now, but if you go and check, if you go and look at Psalms 14:1 and see what it actually says, what it says is, the fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Okay, so the context is important, and just using things, wresting them from the context and using them without any consideration for the context, it may win you points with somebody who hasn't taken the time to look at what you're talking about, and you may feel that you've won the argument. But do you want that round your neck on the day of judgment? That's really the question that I would ask you. So let's look at this snippet, which is so often used in the context that we find it. And we find it at 59:7-8. And I read my own translation, but you're very welcome to go and look at your own translations or favorite translations. What you'll find is that those who take this argument, almost they assume the conclusions of the argument that I've just touched on, i.e. that where it says what the messenger gives you, take it, that it means something other than what it clearly means from the context. You'll find that there are a lot of parenthetical statements, there are a lot of things in brackets to try to make it seem to say something that it doesn't seem. But I would ask you to consider, on the basis of your own reason, the context and what this could possibly mean. So I'll read. And this is from my own translation, the Quran, A Complete Revelation, which you may download for free from Quranite.com. What God bestowed upon his messenger from the people of the cities belongs to God and his messenger, and to relatives, and the fatherless, and the needy, and the wayfarer. So this is one block. That it become not a distribution between the rich among you. And what the messenger gives you, take it. We're talking about distribution of charity. And what the messenger gives you, take it. And from what he forbids you, refrain. And be in prudent fear of God. God is severe in retribution. For the poor émigrés, this is for the benefit of, in favour of. For the poor émigrés who have been turned out from their homes and their belongings, seeking favour and approval from God, and help God and his messenger. These are the truthful. Now I would challenge you to see anything here other than a context in which we're talking about people who forego a charity, accepting what the messenger at the time when he was alive, gave them out of this charity. There is no other way of reading this context. There just isn't. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but I would counsel people who use this verse, or this, it's not even a verse, it's a part of a verse, and they say, what the messenger gives you, take it, and from what he forbids you, refrain. It's like saying, it's not the same as saying, but it's the same sort of mechanism as somebody who argues against the Old Testament, for example, by saying, well, it says there is no God. It's that kind of trickery. Is that something you want to take with you? Is that something you want to take with you to God? I mean, if you may not even be aware, you may have just heard other people use this and think that it's right. It behooves us to do our own due diligence. Now, I've done mine, and you are welcome to consider my findings, and on the basis of your own, of your own conscience and intelligence. But this life is a finite amount of time. None of us knows how much we've got. And to go to God without having done your due diligence, is that something that you want? It's not something that I want. I've got two questions that I want to leave you with. The first is the messenger alive or is he dead? Well, he's dead, isn't he? So that context clearly relates to a time when the messenger was alive and can only relate to it. And my second question is, do you really think, I mean, I don't just mean, when people, when we argue and so on, passions become aroused, and it gets very easy just to become entrenched in your position and to argue something. But it's ego. We all have this. No one's unique in this case. But I mean, in the dark night of the soul, okay, you alone in the quiet, in a hospital bed, perhaps, you've got a week to live. In that scenario, do you really think that the verses that I've just read can really mean that we should accept a huge literature never seen by or approved by the messenger, one which was composed after his death? Because that is what we're called upon to accept. Now again, I know where I stand, and I'm not telling you what to believe. I am saying that if we believe in God and the last day, it behooves us to think about things for ourselves as men, and not simply to accept what others tell us like children. That's all for now. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Quran free using the button in the top right hand corner, or buy the hard copy there at 10% less than on Amazon. I also encourage you to sign up for the Quranite Plus newsletter on the site to get occasional micro updates. You can download the audio from my YouTube videos to your mobile device using the links in the drop down below. I recommend meetquranites.com to connect with other Quran alone believers. Like if you like, comment if you have something constructive to say. and subscribe to get more each week. And use the link in the drop down below to donate if you would like to help me keep doing this. And remember, this life is short, eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.